Well, thank you everyone for coming out tonight. What a wonderful night. My name is Kurt Ritter. I'm the mayor of Chatham Township. On behalf of the entire Township Committee and everyone here in Chatham Township, we want to say thank you. Thank you for coming out tonight, for bringing important awareness, raising funds for this important cause to support the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Now, many of you know this has been an issue that's been dear to my heart since I've been on the committee, and something that originally started with just a few talks, community talks, has grown into a walk. Last year was our inaugural walk last year at the Cougar behind the high school there. You guys know the story. Who here is here tonight, was here last year? Raise your hand. That's great. You know, last year was our inaugural walk. We had set a goal for raising $10,000. We raised over $75,000. This year, among the 200, 300 walkers that are here today, we've raised in excess of over $60,000. As equally as important as raising funds for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention is bringing awareness to this issue. The fact that we're here tonight, we're talking about and saying the word suicide. Letting people know that we can talk about suicide and mental illness. That we can try to remove the stigma associated with mental illness and suicide is equally as important. And the fact that you're all here tonight shows that. I want to thank our walk committee who've been working so hard over these past several months for this. Some of them are here tonight. We've got Detective Laporto, Len Resto, Val and Bob Olip. You can applaud. Noah Green and his mom, and all the guys from Matt's crew. We got Nancy Kislin and others. So all of you, raise your hands so people can give you a round of applause for your hard work. I also want to recognize some of our public officials that are here tonight. I may not have you all, but if I don't, let me know. We've got Ann Grasso, Sheriff Gannon, Heather Darling, Bob Conley. Anyone else? Who are the other elected officials here? Besides, of course, we've got Governor Cody and Rodney Frelinghuysen will be speaking shortly. But thank you for being here.
Jim Gannon. Sheriff.
Yeah, we said Jim. We said Jim. Sheriff Gannon. Thanks, Gov. Here we go. We also want to thank our first responders that are here tonight. We've got more firefighters here tonight than I've ever seen before, which is a good thing. So thank you guys for being here, as well as the EMS. Before I turn this over to Brandon English from the AFSP, I want to thank our sponsors, which is the Riley Charities, Green Village Fire Department, Hickory Tree Landscaping, Fresh Zen Girl, Madison Area YMCA, the Chatham Township PBA, Local 170, DJ Crater, Hickory Tree Delicatessen, Investors Bank, the Chatham Club, and our DJ Tom over here. Also want to recognize the top individuals who've raised funds for tonight, beginning with our very own council member from Chatham Borough, Len Resto. We also have Caitlin Long, Jerry Torres. Come on, let's hear it. Cindy Gotchin family, and Lily Jegg. These are the top 5 individual fundraisers. In terms of the teams, top 5 teams, I want to hear some noise. Madison Ray of Hope. Adams Baziricals. Matt's Crew. Tommy Fuss Team. And Team Nancy. With that, I'm going to turn this over to Brandon English, who's the Director of Loss and Healing at the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. You can sit up here or stand wherever you choose. You might need the ambulance if I stand on that little chair. How are you guys doing tonight? Oh, there's like over 200 of you guys. How are you guys doing tonight? There we go. My name is Brandon English. I'm the Director of Loss and Healing Programs at the National Office of American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. It's an awful mouthful, I know. I just want to thank you guys for being here, from all of us in National. I know we're national in New York, but I'm also a proud New Jerseyan, born and raised. So
From me, from AFSP, we can't thank you enough for all you've done. We have been around now for 30 years. And through those 30 years, we have helped break down so many barriers and so many walls because of people like you, because of walks like this in your communities, as boots on the ground, helping people know that we can break down the stigma of suicide. We can talk about suicide. We can talk about mental health. We know that 94% of Americans now, in the last 30 years since AFSP has been around, know that suicide can and is often preventable. And that's because of events like this and because of people like you. I can't thank you enough. Through AFSP Walks nationally, we have raised over $20 million. That's a little bit of money. And a lot of that goes towards research and advocacy and education to thousands of people that we reach through school programs and social workers and counselors and all kinds of programs, thousands of them across the country, reaching hundreds of thousands of people with our message that we can stop suicide. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, hopefully most of you do, but last year we launched a project called Project 2025. This project it has a bold goal of reducing the suicide rate by 20% by 2025. And I think that we can do it. Anyone else? Yeah. I'm sorry, I said reduce the rate by 20%, saving 20,000 lives by 2025. Can we do it? Yeah. Yes. It's a bold goal, and we know that we reach out to four critical places, 4 critical areas: firearms and suicide prevention, emergency room departments, large healthcare systems, and the criminal justice systems that we can save over 20,000 lives by 2025. And I know with everybody here, with over 200 people here, with all the walks happening in New Jersey and across the country in the fall, that we are going to reach that goal. And it's for people like you. So I just wanted to thank you on behalf of AFSP and American, obviously, in behalf of National. But just remember that the people that brought us here tonight, more importantly, have also brought us together. So I hope you guys have a great night, and thank you again.
Thank you. It's now my honor to turn the microphone over to Governor Cody. I know last year he liked my intro so well. I'll keep it as such. You know, Governor Cody is a supporter of mental health issues, and we're pleased to have him here last year, and pleased to have you here again tonight to welcome us.
Thank you, Mayor. Congressman, good to see you. Sheriff, mayors, elected officials, especially Len Resto from Chatham Borough, who got me here last year. I don't know if all of you know this, but my wife, by the time she was 45, was a double mastectomy survivor, a survivor of mental illness, 18 shock therapy treatments, and today gets up every day with a smile. She's been just great for 12 years, so you can get well, and she's living proof. By the way, Mayor, I've got to tell you a story that Len told me. It's a story about a gentleman by the name of Saul Grossman at the racetrack. So he's at the track, and he sees a priest stop a horse going onto the track for the race, and it looks like saying a prayer. Well, for the first 3 races, whatever horse he stopped, they won. So he decides, this race, I'm going to watch and see which one he picks out to say a prayer for and bet on it. And it's the number 7 horse at 50 to 1. Race goes off, the horse finishes dead last. He approaches the priest. He says, Father, I saw you 3 races in a row, bless a horse, and they all won. This horse you blessed and he didn't win. He said, sir, you must not be Catholic. He said, why do you say that, Father? Because obviously you don't know the difference between a blessing and last rites. So, let me say this to all of you. Let's be honest with each other. My wife will tell you that one bad day of depression is worth about 12 years of mental illness. But there's a stigma attached to this disease. We all know it. So it's politically correct to wear pink, and there's nothing wrong with it. And breast cancer now is very survivable. No question about it. But mental illness colors, lime green and black, you don't see too many people wanting to wear it. We've got to change that. We've got to change it. You've got to change an attitude. And for people with mental illness, hold your head up high. Don't be down about it. There's nothing to be ashamed about it. There's no difference between a kidney disease, heart disease, or cancer, and mental illness. That's what we have to fight. And there was a young girl, 12 years old, as you all know, here in this county, who committed suicide not too long ago. And nowadays in our country, the second leading killer of children 10 to 14, suicide. Almost inconceivable. So we've got to change attitudes, change minds. I was talking to the sheriff before about the fact that in the 60s and early 70s, if you were Catholic and you committed suicide, you weren't allowed to have a Christian mass, Catholic mass, or a Catholic burial. So we got to continue to change attitudes. But this is a great event. What you're doing is great. I want to congratulate all the young people who have come here today to show you're standing up and fighting mental illness. God bless you. Let's have a good night. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Governor. Now I want to turn it over to a dear friend, Rodney Frelinghuysen.
Thank you, Drew. But remind me never to follow Dick Cody. The 10th leading cause of death in the United States. Let me repeat that. The 10th leading cause of death in the United States is suicide. We often think in our country, and obviously any suicide, the taking of one's life is unacceptable. We focus on men and women who service in the armed services, a high number of them who take their life, who commit suicide. But we have teams here that I would suspect are here because they've lost a young one, perhaps in high school, and we see a spike in the number of suicides of youngsters in middle school. You're here tonight to show support for your loved ones, to make sure that we do away with that spike. We're able to talk about mental illness and ways to prevent suicides each and every day in our schools, in our families, and where we worship. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rodney. Now, last year, you'll recall, we had a balloon ceremony. We've mixed things up a little bit for this year. I see a lot of you guys are wearing the beads. So we're doing a thing called the bead ceremony. And Liz Rothmeyer, who's the New Jersey director for AFSP, who's going to lead us off with this.
So as Kurt said, this is the honor bead ceremony, and as I'm sure many of you saw over on the field, each color represents the meaning of why the individual is participating today, and we're just going to highlight a few of the colors for you and share the stories of the individuals up here. The Out of the Darkness Walk community is a journey of remembrance and an event that unites our community. It's a time to acknowledge the ways in which suicide and mental illness have affected our lives and the lives of our loved one. We wear honor beads to pay tribute to a loved one lost, a personal struggle, or a victory. The beads come in many colors representing the diversity of our community's connection to the cause. It is my honor to introduce you to the extraordinary people who are here tonight that are a part of your community. Jeff and Jerry. Jeff and Jerry became Velomas on a Monday evening in October 2015 when their only child, Madison Ray, went upstairs after eating dinner to return to her homework. But in reality, she went upstairs and took her own life. Madison was a good student, an altar server, and Eucharistic minister in her church, and walked through school with a mission: to make someone smile each day. She was very competitive in sports, but was also very careful to make sure all of her teammates were emotionally supported and kept it all cheerful. As parents of a teen, they expected some sad days, but never thought their daughter was beyond sad and actually depressed. They were too late to help Madison Ray, but in her memory will continue to make someone smile each day, and they are committed to help fight the stigma of mental illness and suicide. Jeff and Jerry wear white beads. Justin and Michael. Justin and Michael, twins, are walking today in honor of their mother, Deborah, who took her life a year ago this month. Deborah was a sensitive soul who had a deep appreciation for music. She was very close to her family and friends. She felt guilty and ashamed about her struggle with bipolar depression. Her family knows the importance of transparency when it comes to mental illness and wants to remind everyone here that you are not alone in your struggle and you should always reach out for help. Justin and Michael wear gold beads. Evan J. Evan walks in memory of his older brother, Robert, who took his own life in March of 2016. Robert was a brilliant, funny, loving, and handsome man who unfortunately battled addiction and mental illness. He was loved by so many. Not a day goes by that Robert is not in Evan's thoughts. Robert's mother, Linda, brother Evan, sister-in-law Lauren, niece Lily, and nephew Noah are a part of Team J in honor of Robert. Evan wears orange beads. Kristen. Kristen walks to honor and remember her cousin Tommy. Tommy was a wonderful young man, kind, talented, funny, loyal, independent, and most importantly, a friend to all. He had so much potential and so much to live for, but was plagued with an unrecognized disease and deep emotional pain. Tommy died by suicide November 3rd, 2016, at the age of 17. Kristen is committed to raise awareness and remove the stigma associated with mental illness and suicide. She has participated in 11 Out of the Darkness overnight walks and 2 community walks. Kristen wears purple beads. Anthony. Anthony is a detective with the Chatham Township Police Department. Suicide deaths among first responders and military personnel continue to rise. Anthony walks tonight in honor of all of his brothers and sisters who have been affected by suicide and mental health issues. Anthony wears silver beads. Len. In 1970, at the age of 17, Len made a suicide attempt by taking an overdose of sleeping pills, barbiturates, and alcohol. He had been a target of relentless bullying at school, being called fag, queer, homo, fairy, and spick. Len believed his only solution was suicide and made his decision many weeks prior. He continued to buy more and more sleeping pills until he had enough. He thought he would provide more sleep. He spent 4 days in ICU and pulled through. Len is a survivor and wears green beads for his personal struggle. Nancy. Nancy is a local psychotherapist specializing in working with teens and their families. She is deeply aware of how depression and suicide affects all of us and is committed to raise awareness of the signs in an effort to save lives. Nancy wears blue beads in support of the cause. Valerie. Valerie knows all too well that a family history of suicide increases the risk of suicide attempts and completed suicides within a family, having had 2 suicide deaths in her family. She is committed to raise valuable funds for research to study why a family history of suicide raises the risk of an individual taking their life and how healthcare professionals can better assess and diagnose suicide risk in teens and adults. Valerie wears teal beads for her family and friends who continue to struggle or who have made an attempt. These courageous people that stand before you today represent our dedication, our commitment, and our strength as a community. We walk tonight, we walk together as a community. We are united in our goal to save lives, and no matter how dark it may seem when struggling with mental illness and suicide, the light of hope is always present. Please give a round of applause for these individuals. Show them your support, and thank you all for being brave enough to share your stories with everyone here today. So thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Very powerful stories, and I know there's many other stories out there tonight. That's why we're all here tonight. So thank you very much for sharing those personal stories. At this time, I'm going to ask everyone to please direct your attention to the American flag for our national anthem. At its conclusion, we're going to ask that the Madison's Ray of Hope will come to the front of the gate here to the track where they're going to lead us off as our top fundraiser, and we'll walk clockwise around the field.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early
much, everyone. And Madison Ray of Hope. Madison Ray of Hope can go to the front. I'm going to ask the governor, congressman, and others to come join us at the front.
Well, it's just... and then Jordan